Thank you so much for attending my presentation on how to beat your opponent without attacking them, and first let's talk about the basic ones. These are all sort of attacks, in this weird gray area where they deal damage but aren't outright damaging moves. Toxic, and by extension Burn, Confusion, and Poison are super good at this. While they only inflict a status condition, not dealing damage itself, they can snowball entire games. Hazards, and the ways people deal with them, are probably the most prevalent thing in singles, and for good reason. Even in Gen 2, where you can only have one spike up at a time, hazards are vital to force progress throughout games. With the addition of Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes later on, dealing passive damage each turn has become very important. Finally, Curse, which inflicts 25% of the opponent's health at the end of every turn despite technically being a status move. Perish Song is a fascinating move. It puts a counter on all active Pokemon, and if they're still on the field after 3 turns, they're knocked out no matter how much health they have left. All you need to do to get rid of this effect is switch out, but if you read the title of this slide, you know where I'm going with this. Trapping moves can be used to guarantee this lands, enabling some wild strategies. Perish Trap is better in doubles than in singles. The biggest proponent of the strategy by far is Wolf Glick, who has won 2 regionals using it. Both times he took advantage of Gothitelle, he used Fake Out and Protect to stall turns. With the payout of eliminating half of your opponent's team in one fell swoop, Perish Trap can be legitimately viable. As I said earlier, it's not as good in singles, but has seen play here and there. One of the most famous is GSC Misdreavus. With me look to keep opponents in place, it can set up Perish and switch out as the effect ends. Destiny Bond is much simpler, knocking out the opposing Pokemon if the user is knocked out by a direct attack from it. This is an overall meh move, more niche than not, but can be used to great effect. DPP Uber's Frostlass is a great example, acting as a fast spikes lead and threatening to trade 1-for-1 with powerful Pokemon. Struggle is very interesting, mostly because using it on purpose is basically impossible. It's a weak, typeless 50 base power move that deals 25% of your max health and recoil. In other words, really bad. The only time Struggle is even available to use is when a Pokemon literally cannot attack, which can happen for a few reasons. The PP stall is widely hated, but is a perfectly okay strategy. Every move has a certain amount of power points, or the amount of times they can be used before healing, and by forcing your opponent to use all of their PP, they have to click Struggle. Funnily enough, it's possible to force this by using trapping moves, recovering off the damage they deal and causing them to fall to recoil. You can also make them struggle in other, more stupid ways. You can use Encore and then disable the Encore, imprison all their moves at once by abusing Transformation, Torment can work, you catch my drift. These other methods aren't very good, but can catch unsuspecting opponents off guard. Finally, we reach the Dark Arts, the timer stall. First, let's talk about VGC. In the official competitive format, games can only last 20 minutes. This means that you could, in theory, build a team that takes 1 or 2 KOs quickly, but then slow play and win the game with recovery and protect. This is totally fine, it's a part of the game and isn't common anyways. In singles, the only game limit is 1000 turns, which is very difficult to reach. Also, super quick clarification, regular stall is fine, healthy for the game, and isn't timer stall. Even with the near impossibility of a turn stall, there are other mental ways to coerce your opponent into forfeiting. This is done by literally just taking the max amount of time on all of your moves as a strategy. Not like a planning your move strategy, more like a I'm getting up for a bathroom break without locking in a move strategy. This is meant to get your opponent to quit out of boredom, and as stupid as this sounds, it's really not that hard to handle. If that really is their only plan, they're probably going to be easy to beat in the long run. Also, almost no the timer gets low moments mean that someone is trying to stall you out. The timer is there for a reason, and they likely need it to think. If you feel someone is doing this on purpose, I would highly doubt it. It could theoretically happen though, and while largely undocumented, this is a way you can win a Pokemon without attacking. In conclusion, while Pokemon is primarily a game about attacking the other player, you can actually win without doing so. Even though it seems a bit lame to some, it's another awesome part of battling that I'm glad is around. Thank you so much for watching.